Chosen one, you are not here by accident. Heaven scheduled your arrival to this very moment. The very breath you're taking right now is aligned with divine timing. The Spirit of God has drawn you here because something sacred is about to unfold. This is not another video. It's a prophetic encounter. You are standing at the threshold of a supernatural transfer, a heavenly transaction, where everything that was withheld is about to be released into your hands. Anointed one, the delays, the denials, the betrayals, even the rejection from your own bloodline, were all divine preparation for this moment of manifestation. God has seen your faithfulness in the secret place, your tears in the midnight hour, and he has declared that the time for waiting is over. As it is written in Isaiah 45:3, I will give you the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places. This is your Kairos moment, where purpose meets promise, where prophecy becomes possession. Feel the shift in your spirit. Heaven's economy is moving. The same God who multiplies loaves will multiply your resources, your influence, and your peace. Take a deep breath, chosen one. The transfer has begun. Chosen one, what you've been feeling lately is not confusion, it's confirmation. Heaven has been rearranging the people and places around your life because you've entered a higher spiritual frequency. You may call it rejection, but in truth, it's realignment. The people who once understood you can no longer recognize you because you've outgrown the version of yourself they knew. Anointed one, I know the pain of watching families shift before your eyes, the sudden silence, the distance, the misunderstanding. I've lived through that ache. I used to ask God, why are the people I love turning cold? And he whispered, they're not rejecting you. They're reacting to the light I placed inside you. That one revelation changed how I saw everything. The anointing attracts some, but it also exposes others. You carry something sacred, the oil of heaven, the mark of divine favor. It cannot be explained, only discerned. Even when you say nothing, your spirit speaks. The light you carry exposes what others have tried to keep hidden. Sometimes that light shines on pain they've never faced, or truth they've chosen to ignore. That's why your presence feels heavy to them. It's not your fault. It's the anointing. Chosen one, remember this. The first place the enemy attacks is not your workplace or your friendships. It's your bloodline. Because that's where your heart is softest. The enemy uses familiar voices to create unfamiliar wounds. That's why betrayal from a stranger hurts less than silence from your own family. It's not that they're evil, it's that your calling confronts what they've chosen to stay comfortable in. When heaven begins to raise you up, separation is inevitable. Before God promotes, he isolates. When you think you're losing people, you're really being refined. Every door that closed was divine protection. Every no was heaven saying, not with them. The quiet seasons were never punishment. They were preparation. I've walked through that valley. I remember asking God, why am I walking alone? And he said, because what I'm building in you requires silence. It was in that isolation that clarity came. The more people faded, the clearer his voice became. Now I understand, before he could trust me with increase, he had to make sure my heart was no longer tied to approval. Anointed one, your separation is the sign that the supernatural transfer is near. The same spirit that pulled you away from what was draining you is now positioning you for divine inheritance. Heaven is preparing resources, connections, and opportunities that match your new frequency. But not everyone can stand under that level of oil. Some people's energy would have contaminated your breakthrough. That's why they left. They weren't meant to handle your next level. The rejection was never about your worth. It was about God's wisdom. He had to prune relationships that couldn't survive your elevation. You've been hidden, but you were never forgotten. Hidden seasons are sacred. They're where heaven teaches you how to walk in authority without applause. Chosen one, you are not behind. You are in process. What felt like endings were actually beginnings. Every time you cried in secret, heaven recorded it. Every time you stayed kind when others mocked you, God took note. And now the record of your faithfulness is about to speak. This next season won't require you to prove yourself. The oil will speak for you. The same people who questioned you will witness what obedience produces. The same family that doubted you will see that divine timing was never denial. So don't resent the distance, respect it. Don't chase those who walked away, bless them. Because while they were stepping back, God was stepping in. Chosen one, the shaking around you is not a curse. It's a sign that heaven is shifting things in your favor. Every closed door was preparation for an open gate. The silence you feel now is not absence, it's alignment. Hold your peace. Guard your oil. Keep walking in obedience. Heaven is not testing you anymore. Heaven is trusting you. You are not rejected. You are refined. You are not abandoned. You are anointed. And the same family that couldn't see you before will soon witness what God is doing through you now. Chosen one. You've felt it. That shift in the atmosphere around your home. The energy changed, and suddenly, people who once laughed with you now look at you like they don't recognize you. You've been wondering what you did wrong, trying to replay conversations, searching for the moment it all turned. But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. You awakened, and when light awakens, darkness becomes restless. Anointed one, when the call of God begins to mature inside you, it releases a spiritual frequency that not everyone can handle. Your spirit starts to move differently, speak differently, see differently. You start desiring peace instead of approval, depth instead of distraction. And those shifts, though invisible, expose spiritual fractures in people who still live by the flesh. They can't explain why your presence feels heavier, but their spirit reacts to it. This is why even your own family can become uncomfortable. It's not because they hate you. It's because the anointing on your life holds up a mirror to what they've been running from. They sense conviction, not comfort, and instead of leaning in, they pull away. Some even attack the light because it reminds them they're living in the shadows. Chosen one, when you were younger, you probably thought your sensitivity was a weakness, that your deep emotions, your prophetic dreams, or the strange coincidences in your life were something to hide. But now you're beginning to understand that sensitivity was spiritual sight. You were seeing what others couldn't. You were hearing what others ignored. And heaven was training you early. The reason they turned on you is simple. Your awakening interrupted their agreement with limitation. You were born to break patterns that have chained your bloodline for generations. That's why your spirit couldn't stay asleep like theirs. You were chosen to be the breaker, the builder, the first one in your family to say, "This cycle ends with me." I remember walking through this same tension. When I stopped entertaining old habits, some called me prideful. When I stopped reacting to drama, they said, I thought I was better than them. What they didn't see was that I wasn't changing for me, I was changing because of him. I wasn't becoming distant, I was becoming devoted. Anointed one, don't let their misunderstanding harden your heart. Forgive quickly, even if they never apologize. You're not responsible for their revelation, only for your obedience. Every insult, every whisper, Every cold shoulder is being recorded by heaven. And when the time is right, the same God who allowed the misunderstanding will use your rise as their awakening. You're entering a divine transaction, the moment where heaven begins to transfer spiritual and material resources into your life. The anointing you carry has been tested, and now it's ready to be trusted. That's why relationships are shifting. God is positioning you among people who recognize your oil, not resent it. Doors that once ignored you will now call for you. Because this time, you're walking not just with faith, but with authority. Chosen one, your silence has become sacred. Your stillness is your weapon. You no longer need to defend who you are. The evidence is about to speak. The same spirit that isolated you is about to elevate you. And when that elevation comes, don't gloat. Don't look back. Simply keep walking with grace, because elevation is not a reward, it's responsibility. Heaven didn't choose you because you were perfect. Heaven chose you because you were willing. You said yes when others mocked. You stayed faithful when others quit. That's why the oil flows through you now, because you endured what others escaped. Chosen one, don't let the pain of rejection make you question the purpose of your calling. The separation was the signal, the misunderstanding was the confirmation, and the silence, that silence, was heaven whispering, I'm doing something new, but I must do it without noise. So lift your head, wipe your tears. The people who turned on you were never your foundation, they were your filter. And what's left after this pruning is pure. You are lighter now, freer now, clearer now, and heaven can finally pour into a vessel that no longer leaks from the wounds of misunderstanding. Chosen one, the transfer has already begun. Stay still, stay faithful. The pain that pushed you out of your comfort zone was the hand of God pulling you into destiny. You were never rejected. You were realigned. Chosen one, what felt like rejection was really redirection. The doors that closed weren't punishment, they were protection. You've cried over people who were never meant to follow you into the next season, but heaven has been quietly saying, I needed them to walk away so you could walk forward. Anointed one, when you carry divine purpose, you also carry divine separation. God hides his greatest treasures until the appointed time. That's why you've been feeling unseen, unheard, even misunderstood by those closest to you. They weren't meant to understand you, not yet. Your journey has been a private preparation for a public demonstration of God's faithfulness. You see, your calling carries weight. It's not light. And not everyone around you has the strength to walk beside it. That's why your family's behavior shifted. The oil on your life started speaking before you ever did. Your presence began to reveal what others wanted to keep hidden. You didn't expose them with words, your transformation did. I know that pain. I've sat in rooms where my silence was misunderstood, where peace was mistaken for pride, and where love was returned with distance. But in those moments, God whispered, don't explain yourself, just evolve. And that's what you're doing now. You're evolving into the person heaven always saw, even when others refuse to. Chosen one, don't confuse isolation with abandonment. The wilderness is never wasted. When God separates you, it's never to strip you, it's so that destiny can speak clearly. Every season of silence has been sacred training for what's ahead. You're not behind, you're being positioned. Every delay was divine, every loss had purpose. Heaven doesn't prune what it doesn't plan to promote. That's why the cutting felt so deep, because the growth will be just as high. Your obedience has cost you relationships, comfort, and understanding. But what you've gained is worth far more: spiritual authority, discernment, and clarity. You now move with purpose, not approval. You've stopped chasing validation because you've realized you were never meant to be accepted, you were meant to be appointed. When Joseph shared his dreams, his brothers didn't hate him for who he was, they hated what he carried. The same is true for you. They can feel your destiny even before they see it. That's why resistance rises the moment revelation begins. The light in you disturbs what's dormant in others. Anointed one, God saw your tears when you didn't fight back. He saw your restraint when you could have defended yourself. And because of that humility, you've been marked for increase. This next move won't come from striving. It will come from surrender. You've already proven your faith in hidden seasons. Now, heaven is releasing the reward in open ones. Chosen one, rejection was your refinement. Misunderstanding was your making. You're no longer the same. The version of you that was overlooked has become the version God will now display. Every word spoken against you will fall away, as the fruit of your obedience begins to speak louder than explanations ever could. So, forgive quickly. Bless those who distance themselves. Don't carry bitterness into your next season. It has no place where you're going. You are stepping into divine transfer, not only of resources, but of identity. The world will see what heaven always knew. The same voices that called you strange will one day call you chosen. The same family that questioned your faith will soon witness your favor. Don't chase their approval, carry your assignment. You were not rejected, you were refined for revelation. Chosen one. This is your confirmation. Heaven never turned its back on you. It was turning your life forward. Now walk boldly. The very pain that once broke you has become the proof that God's hand has always been upon you. Chosen one. Sometimes the distance you feel isn't betrayal, it's God's mercy. You didn't lose connection with your family because of something you said or did. You lost it because heaven began to separate you for a higher purpose. The oil on your life grew heavier, and not everyone around you could handle that weight. Anointed one, what you call rejection, heaven calls refinement. When God begins to elevate you, He often allows tension to rise in familiar places. That's not cruelty, it's cleansing. He removes the voices that could interfere with your new assignment. Some people were part of your history, but not your destiny. The love may remain, but the access must change. I know it hurts. You've tried to explain, to stay gentle, to make them see your heart. But they can't. They don't reject you because they hate you. They reject you because your light reveals what they've refused to face. And when light shines, darkness looks for an exit. Don't chase what heaven is releasing. You see, every chosen one walks this road. Joseph's brothers couldn't handle his dreams. David's father couldn't see his calling. Even Jesus faced disbelief in his own house. So when those close to you misunderstand your vision, remember, you're not the first, and you won't be the last. God allows rejection because it produces revelation. Chosen one. The separation you feel is holy. You're not being pushed out. You're being pulled higher. God is teaching you to depend on His voice above all others. This silence isn't absence. It's alignment. You're in the in-between, not where you were, but not yet where you're going. That tension is sacred. It means heaven is building something in you that requires isolation. When I walked through my own separation, I thought I was losing everything, but I later realized I was being trained for expansion. God stripped away the noise so I could finally hear Him clearly. In that quiet, I learned that peace is louder than approval, and obedience carries more power than explanation. The wilderness became the classroom where faith became real. Anointed One, don't let the pain make you bitter. Let it make you built. Every misunderstanding is molding your humility. Every silence is sharpening your discernment. The ones who turned on you were never your enemies. They were instruments of your preparation. Without them, you wouldn't have prayed the way you do. You wouldn't have developed the strength you now carry. Chosen One, a divine transfer is approaching. The same spirit that allowed the separation is now preparing the revelation. The things you lost in tears will return in transformation. This isn't just about financial blessings, it's about spiritual authority. You're being positioned to manage abundance with integrity. That's why God had to clean your environment before the increase arrived. So stop mourning what left. It didn't leave to break you. It left to make room for what's next. Forgive quickly, bless freely, and keep moving forward. When God finishes this process, those who misunderstood you will witness undeniable proof that His hand has been upon your life all along. Chosen One, lift your head. You're not forgotten, you're favored. You're not abandoned, you're appointed. Every tear has watered the soil of your next season. Heaven is aligning what your heart has been praying for. What you thought was the end was only the pruning before promotion. Stay still, stay faithful, and stay focused. The separation wasn't rejection, it was your release into destiny. You're stepping out of pain and into purpose, out of silence and into significance. And soon, even your family will have to say, truly, God was with them. Chosen One, when God begins to elevate you, He doesn't announce it with applause, He announces it with isolation. The space that once felt safe begins to feel small. Conversations that once flowed suddenly dry up. People you trusted start pulling away, and you find yourself standing in silence, wondering what changed. But heaven wants you to know, nothing went wrong. You simply outgrew the atmosphere you were once attached to. Anointed One, the tension you feel between you and your family is not punishment, it's proof. You're carrying a spiritual vibration that unsettles everything that's not aligned with light. The calling on your life speaks before you ever open your mouth. That's why some people shift around you. Your presence reveals their resistance. You've become the mirror that exposes what others refuse to confront. This isn't about arrogance or superiority, it's about spiritual separation. The closer you move toward divine purpose, the more God removes distractions, disguised as loyalty. He knows that not everyone can handle the new version of you, the version walking in authority, discernment, and power. So when He begins to bless you, He first begins to filter your circle. I remember when my own refining began. People I thought would celebrate my growth grew distant. Some mocked my faith, others misread my silence. I spent nights asking, God, why are they turning on me? And He said, because I'm revealing you. That sentence changed me. I realized rejection wasn't my enemy, it was my graduation. Every person who walked away was proof that I was stepping into another dimension of favor. Chosen One, hear this clearly. Family rejection doesn't cancel your calling, it clarifies it. The same people who question your faith now will one day need the strength you're developing. You're not meant to be understood in the middle of your transformation. You're meant to be revealed at the right time. So stop trying to convince them. Start preparing for what God is bringing next. Anointed One, heaven is aligning a divine transfer for you, a shift of resources, opportunities, and spiritual authority. The wealth may come, but it's not about money. It's about mission. You're being equipped to carry something sacred, a blueprint that will restore what generations before you lost. That's why your battle has been heavier than most. You're not just fighting for yourself, you're breaking cycles for your entire bloodline. Yes, the rejection cut deep, but it also created capacity. The loneliness stretched your faith, and the silence deepened your hearing. The same God who watched you cry in secret will now cause others to witness your rise in public. You won't have to chase validation. The evidence will speak. The oil on your life will draw what belongs to you: favor, divine helpers, open doors, and kingdom-level influence. Chosen one, don't let bitterness take root. The moment you release those who hurt you, you free your own destiny. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's warfare. It severs the enemy's access to your heart. Remember, your battle isn't against flesh and blood. It's spiritual, and the victory begins when you choose peace over retaliation. So, anointed one, guard your heart but keep it open. Bless your family even when they don't bless you back. Pray for them even when they misunderstand you. Your compassion is your crown. Your humility is your armor. And your endurance is the bridge to your breakthrough. Heaven is watching how you handle this stage. Don't waste your wilderness. Every lonely night, every unanswered call, every tear, it's all being turned into testimony. You are proof that divine purpose often begins in hidden places. Chosen one, this chapter is not your ending, it's your unveiling. God is setting the stage for restoration and recognition. What was taken from you will return multiplied. Those who turned away will one day see the glory that has been forming in silence. Stay faithful, stay pure, and stay ready. The next knock on your door won't be rejection, it will be release. Chosen one. By now you've realized that what hurt you the most also grew you the most. The rejection, the silence, the misunderstandings, they weren't the end of your story. They were the shaping ground for your next dimension. Every time someone walked away, heaven was building your foundation. You weren't being abandoned, you were being appointed. Anointed one. This is the part of the journey most people never talk about. The hidden preparation, the secret refinement, the long nights when you prayed for answers that didn't come. But listen, the silence of God is not his absence, it's his artistry. He's been crafting something so specific in you that no crowd could interrupt it. You've been in the waiting room of destiny, and now the door is about to open. You had to be set apart, because what's coming requires purity, not popularity. That's why your spirit couldn't rest in gossip or small talk anymore. That's why entertainment began to feel empty, and conversations lost their flavor. Heaven was detoxing you from the noise of the world so you could hear the sound of purpose. I remember that season myself, when even familiar faces started to feel foreign. I'd walk into rooms that once felt like home and suddenly feel misplaced, misunderstood. At first, I thought I'd done something wrong. But then God revealed, "You've changed frequencies." My spirit had shifted to a higher wavelength, and those still anchored in the old couldn't resonate with it. That's when I learned that sometimes the greatest act of faith is to keep walking even when no one walks with you. Chosen one, your pain was never wasted. Every moment of loneliness was heaven's classroom. You were being trained to operate with precision, to trust God without confirmation, to move when others hesitate. The rejection from your family didn't disqualify